Open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today. I absolutely love doing Growing Edge Live. And if you're here for the first time, I'm so happy that you're here, that you found us. We are all about having deep conversations with soul-centered individuals that are channeling their time, their talent, their energy, their resources, their creativity, their love into doing great things in the world. So we interview a broad spectrum of people, from thought leaders to artists to creators to teachers, spiritual guides and mystics. We look at the whole spectrum, business people, entrepreneurs. And so I hope that these shows and all the ones that are coming up for 2024 are going to really, really support you in feeling more comfortable being a part of this human family, because we're all in this together. We're here at the very growing edge of our own becoming, having our own individual experience, yet we're all connected. We're all one. And so these growing edge conversations are here mostly for a selfish reason. I love to go deep with people. I love to know about people's stories, their histories, how they got to be the way they are. And that's what we share here on Growing Edge Live. So welcome. Satya Center is our sponsor, and we're all about inspiring minds, healing hearts, and transforming lives. So welcome. Let's start with maybe just a deep centering breath. So close your eyes, take a breath, maybe touch your heart. And in this breath and touching the heart moment, we're saying to ourselves, I'm here. All is well. And this is the moment. This is the moment that I'm just going to be centered, receptive, let go of all the worries of the future, the past, and just enjoy the next 50 minutes or so. So, welcome again. Now, at the beginning of every show, I have a segment that we call Ask Allie. And today I have a question from Sophie. And Sophie sent this in. I lost my dad 2 months ago. Oh, Sophie, I'm so sorry. He was my favorite person, and I, along with my family, are deeply grieving his loss. I'm typically a high energy, upbeat, and purpose-driven person. I work hard and I play hard. Since my dad's passing, everything has changed. I don't feel like socializing, and even my work seems uphill. I have never felt like this before. I'm dreading the holidays and being with my family as well when they're all so miserable. What can I do? I want to be with my family, but I'm feeling wobbly. Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you, Sophie. This is just such a difficult time for so many of us, especially those of us that have lost a loved one. When we're used to having them around, when they've been part of our history, part of our life, Christmas time or any time where there's a lot of getting together with family and celebration, and someone that's central is gone or missing, it can be disorienting. It can be sad. It can be very confusing. I know this. I lost my dad on Christmas Day in 2008. And boy, was that an interesting Christmas morning to get that phone call from my brother in England, because I live in the States. and to then have to, go about all of the activities of Christmas with kids and presents and all of that. You have to kind of compartmentalize and just go into that mode of doing what you do. So, Sophie, this is what I have to say to you. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult. But what I know is there's great preciousness, sacredness in this time, this exquisitely difficult time of coming together with family, especially since you all hold this same loss close to you. You all have this in common. So just know that you're all in this together. You're all going through it, and that each of you are going to be experiencing it very differently, possibly, because we all feel grief and loss and experience these traumatic events differently. So just notice, just allow other people's process to be their process. Allow your process to be yours. You might notice people, some people might be in denial. Maybe they just go about taking care of all the details and they're upbeat and doesn't seem to be affecting them. That doesn't mean they're not feeling it. They've just gone into a fix it mode. You've heard of fight, flight, fix, or freeze. We all tend to go into one of these modes. And then there are these states of grief, this disbelief, this denial, anger, frustration, sadness, confusion. We can all go into a state of denial or one of these other states. And so this is my first suggestion to you. Just be aware of how you're feeling and give yourself permission to be that. You don't have to rise to the occasion. You get to be gentle with yourself and just enter into these holiday meals and times together with a sense of slowing down a bit, giving yourself extra grace to just be with yourself and to be with your family. And just notice that everybody else is going to be in their own lane, experiencing whatever state of grief or processing their thoughts and their feelings and their emotions in their own way. And so you get to just witness that. You get to be you, and it may feel very different than you're usually used to feeling, but it's okay. And then also consider this as an opportunity to connect with your dad. He's still with you. He's still at the center of your family. Maybe he's not here in the physical, but his essence, he's with you. At least that's what I believe. And if that's a stretch, then the memory of him is with you. All of those fond memories that you've had in the past of him being there and his particular personality, what he showed up and what he brought into the family, all of those memories are with you. And that's something that, whilst it can stir up pain and sadness, it can also stir up fond memories. And so just know that, yeah, he's not with you here in the physical, but he's with you in spirit. And so it can be a whole new experience for you with him not here, but it can also be curious, a new kind of a spiritual, a deepening of love and connection. I know for me, my dad was, he kind of had a brisky, rough personality. He wasn't the warm and fuzzy. And so even when we were together, there was, some prickliness around being with my dad. And so when he was gone from the physical, and now I'm just bringing him into our family gatherings, into Christmas spirit, into the Christmas times, now that he's in the non-physical, there was a different tonality, a different feeling that I had with the spirit of my dad, or the soul of my dad, versus the physical and the personality that he was. So it's actually there was a more levity, more softness, more of the positive traits and qualities that I associated with my dad came into my experience with him in the non-physical celebration of the Christmas holidays. And so be sensitive to your feelings, be sensitive to the feelings and the way others experience their grief and their bereavement, and just notice your dad's still with you. He's here with you, and you get to venture forward, developing a whole new relationship with him, one that's brand new for both of you. And it can take time, but over time, over the years, you will find that there's a particular rightness to where you are with him now. Even though he's not here, there's a particular growing edge, aliveness to the relationship that you're having with him and that you're experiencing. So thank you so much, Sophie, for sending this in. And this can be an extremely difficult time for us. We've all heard about the blue Christmas or the blue season that this can evoke. And it's true. So I invite you to maybe allow this awareness that I've been talking about to lighten you up, maybe to a light blue versus a dark blue. And another thing before I go, this is something that's been really helpful to me, is to practice, do a little meditative breathing exercise before you go into a family situation or a family gathering. I call it three-centered awareness. You know, we have this intelligent center of the head or the brain or the thinking mind. We have the intelligence of our heart, our emotions, our feelings. And then we have our body or our belly awareness. And we can integrate our head, our heart, and our felt senses or our instincts, our body. We can bring some awareness and create a sense of groundedness as we simply take a few breaths and bring our breath into our mind and just calm the mind and just release all of the anxious thoughts that are occurring, all of the confusion that might be coming as you venture into this family occasion, and just calm the mind and invite a sense of calm curiosity. And then exhale, and then do another breath into the heart. And as you breathe into the heart, and you might feel a sense of like worry or anticipatory anxiety with how you're going to feel. And so as you start to feel sort of your disrupted emotions and feelings, you start to breathe into that heart center and breathe in a deeper sense of loving presence. Because that's who you are. You are the presence of love. And when you can breathe into your heart center, breathe into your soulful self and start to calm down, calm the emotions, calm down the feelings, and enter into your most authentic sense of loving presence. And then you exhale. And then you do one final breath where you breathe down into the belly, into the body, and you get a real sense of physical presence and grounding, and all of the sense of scatteredness, of dullness, of achiness, of all of the energy that comes when you think about being with your family and being with everyone that might be feeling depression and sadness and whatever it is they have going on. And you get a sense of heaviness around that. Know that you can tap into your body that has a sense of aliveness. And that's neither up or down or good or bad. It's just a sense of being present, being alive, and being engaged with whomever and whatever is that you're experiencing. And then exhale. So these are 3 deep breaths you can take before you enter into a family situation. Again, you breathe into the mind and invite curiosity. You breathe into the heart and invite loving presence. and you breathe into the body and invite living bodily presence. And so I hope that helps too, Sophie. So peace and blessings to you. And if my viewers here today have a question you'd like me to address, go ahead and send it to this address, growingedgelive@gmail.com. So thank you so much. And we are going to move into my most favorite segment of my show, which is my interview. And today I have my dear friend, Dr. Michele Whittington. She's been a friend of mine for many years. Oh, there she is. I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Don't know how to go about getting rid of that. Hope that's not what everyone else can hear too. But nevertheless. So Michele Whittington, my friend, my beloved soul sister, you and I have experienced, well, you probably just heard what I was talking about with Sophie there. And you and I have some experience with a blue Christmas and the blueness that comes along when we've lost someone. So we can maybe talk about that a bit. Before we get to that, I want to share a little bit about Michele. So I've got this beautiful bio that you sent me, and I'm not going to read that at all. I'm going to talk about how you and I know each other. So I'm going to check in with my producer for a moment. Is this echo affecting? It is affecting. Is there anything that we can do? I don't know what we can do about it, but I'll try and continue talking.
Well, hello there. I'm Dr. Allie's producer. Dr. Michele, if you could turn down your volume.
Turn down my volume.
Turn down your volume on your, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
done.
Thank you.
And there we go.
Oh, that helped, but now I can barely hear you, so I need to turn it up a smidge. Okay, how's that? Is that better?
I can hear myself, but it's better.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry about that, everyone. So Michele and I met at the Franciscan Renewal Center, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, probably now. And
at least, Allie, at least.
And we're a part of several different communities that I would say fall under the umbrella of spirituality. So we're both very into that. We're both also very into women's empowerment. And we both love to support all people, but women primarily, in realizing their authentic power. And so that's something that we have in common. And also, Reverend Michele is currently serving as the executive director of the Affiliated New Thought Network, which is another organization that we connect in, that we've served together on the board of directors on. And so I'd like to say welcome to you, my dear friend. I'm so glad that you're here. And how are you?
I am so happy to be here, and I love the technology that allows us to be here, and the centered prayer that took care of our little issues that happened right before we got on. So so happy to be here, and so thank you, Dr. Michael, for making sure we got all this working. Allie, it's a joy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we usually start off the show with getting to know our guests. So can you let us know about you, your origin story? Who was it that impacted you most as a youngster? And how'd you get to be who you are today, Michele?
So we have about 3 hours. Is that right? Is that how long we have? Okay, so let's see if we can't condense this a bit. I was raised Baptist. And when I was in high school and started dating and being out late on a Saturday night, I didn't want to get up early in the morning and go to church, and my mother didn't make me. So that was it for my spirituality, for my religion, for my connection with anything bigger than me for about 15 years. And then my only goal in life that I hadn't already achieved was a good relationship. I had a great job, great career, great friends, great place to live, etc. But I could not make a relationship work to save my life. And when boyfriend number 8,000-ish walked out the door, I slumped down the wall and said, "Oh God," who I wasn't at that point really interested in, not sure I even believed in. I said, "Oh God, why is this happening again?" And oh God answered me in my head and said, but it was with a question. What's the common denominator in all these failed relationships? I didn't like the answer that I got, but the answer was me. So I started on a journey really of emotional healing. I found a therapist, just so happened to find a very spiritually based therapist. So she's the most influential person in who I am today. And her name is Marilyn Powers. I walked in her office, told her my big sad story. She said, "Okay, yeah, you're an emotional mess. I can help you with that. But you're trying to fill a hole in you with a relationship, and that will never work. You have to fill it with a connection with something bigger than you. Let's call that God. So you go do that. You come to me for the emotional work. We'll put those two together." And that's what I did. And I walked into a religious science church. And the rest is now history. I walked into religious science church. So we're getting a message about what we need to do.
Yeah, let's see.
Echo cancellation in your
Yep, mine's done.
Michael, I'm not sure where that is for me. So
if you go to settings and then click settings, and you should see audio. Go click audio.
Got it. Done.
Okay, there we go.
Got it.
That help?
Done. Oh, I love technology. So good. Yay.
Yay.
Anyway, went to a religious science church, never left. Years later, I became a religious science minister, had my own center for years and years, stepped down from that 5 years ago. And to finish the story on that, I did meet the love of my life. I got what I want. I got the icing. I got a relationship with something bigger than me, which of course is the most important thing. And then I got the icing on the cake, which is to meet the most amazing man, Lonnie Whittington. We were married together for almost 30 years. And 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago now, he passed away. So yes, my heart went out to your Sonia, who asked the question. I understand in my own way. I know we do our own grief journey uniquely, and I have some understanding of what that's like. It's not fun, and you will be okay. Sonia, I'll say that to you. It's not fun. Do it at your own pace, and you will be okay. So that's me in a nutshell, Allie.
Yeah, well, I was just with you, and I had a trip to Arizona, to Phoenix, and we spent some time together, and it was really beautiful to have just time one-on-one and to hear your story and to realize that we all have a story. Not all, we all have this past. We all come to our own spiritual journey in our own time, and to know that we can get help. Many of us, I think, that are in leadership positions, many of us that, have been strong, independent women, we may not see that going to get help with a therapist is, up for us. But I know for me, you happened to mention to me last year, it was in September at the Big Sky Retreat. Do you remember this? We were hanging out together, and you had mentioned the name of a therapist, and I went on to call her.
Yes.
And her and I started working together. And for me too, I lost my son, just like you lost Lonnie 5.5 years ago. It's been 5.5 years ago since Adam left. And so I'd done a little bit of counseling, but I hadn't really done therapy. And working with the beautiful individual that you connected me with really made such a big difference. And so I know that you've been on this path a lot longer than I have, obviously, in therapy. Can you speak to those people that have been stubborn like me, just trying to hold on and just maybe do spiritual bypass with all of these emotions and things that we've buried down deep? Would you recommend therapy for everyone? Like,
I actually think 99.9% of us need therapy. I really do. I think it has to be a good therapist. And what does that mean? Someone who really wants to support you in moving forward, not just dredging up and reliving and rehashing the painful past. And there is a place for that, but it's also about moving forward. And I know when my husband passed, one of the first people I reached out to, although I hadn't seen her in years, is my therapist. I hadn't seen her in years, but I still had her phone number, and I called her, and I spent some time with her over those next, that I don't know how many sessions I had with her, or times I saw her, but I saw her again after Lonnie passed. And actually over the years, even though I was done with therapy, when something would come up, she is the one I would reach out to, because the clarity, the insight of a really good intuitive therapist can make all the difference in the world. So I say, if there's any fear of that or arrogance that I don't need it, let that go and get the help you need. We are not meant to do this journey alone. We are not meant to do this journey alone. And sometimes it's a professional that we need to help us along the way.
Yeah. So that's good to know. And I'm glad that you stated that. So you also said, along with, when you were having this, when you were coming to your own spiritual path, that you went to therapy, and then your therapist mentioned, go create a relationship with this God. And I've heard you talk I remember once hearing you speak, because you're an amazing speaker, an amazing teacher. And you talked about the guy in the sky, the God with the big gold G on his chest. And I always remember you using that terminology. So because some of the people that are watching today are religious, some are spiritual, some aren't. And I want them to have an understanding of what you mean when you're talking about God. What is God?
Yeah. So as I said before, I was raised Baptist. So being raised Baptist, my view of God wasn't, to quote Allie quoting me, was a man in the sky wearing a big gold G on his chest. Okay, maybe not quite that, but it was a man separate from me, looking down on us and judging us, and of course finding us faulty. And so that's the God I grew up with. And that's the God I honestly didn't want anything to do with. So when I started my search, after my therapist said, you need to have a relationship with this, whatever you want to call it, let's call it God. I knew I didn't want to go back to Baptist. So I went here, I went there, and nothing was resonating. And then, so I'll just tell you this little God thing, because this is a God thing. It was, so this was 1985, probably. And I got my voting ballot, to vote. And there was no mail-in ballots at the time. You had to go to a polling place. My polling place was a church 5 minutes from my house. I passed it a million times, never thought anything about it. It was called First Church of Religious Science. So I went there to vote. And when I walked in, I had this deja vu moment. And the moment was, I've been here before. Now, not in some woo-woo past life situation. No, in this life, I'd been there before. And I remember as a young adult, my sister dragged me there for something. I don't think it was a Sunday service. I think it was an event of some sort, but I was there. And I remember thinking one thing when I was there to vote: this place is different. I don't remember how it's different, but it's not your typical church. So I thought, I'm looking for a church. I'm looking for a relationship with this thing I'm going to call God. Let me go here. So I went on Sunday, and I knew it was there. I got my difference confirmed when their very first song that they played as an opening was Zippity Doodah. Zippity Doo Dah is not a song I'd ever heard in my Baptist church. And then I heard the minister talk about this universal energy that, let's call it God, let's call it higher power, let's call it source. It doesn't matter what we call it, but it's a universal energy that lives in, as, and through everything, everywhere, including, and she looked out at the congregation and pointed to us and said, including you and in you and in you. And that moved me like I've never been moved before. And that started my relationship with a new definition for me of God, this creative source that made and is a part of everything, including me. So when I say God, that's what I mean.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
I'm smiling because I'm watching our producer in the background singing along to our song.
I love your song. That's a great song.
Yeah, my music director Leslie wrote that for us. So yeah, thanks Leslie. Shout out. Yeah, we came to the end of we came to the break, and you had just said that your idea of God is this much more expansive idea, this creative energy and intelligence that infuses all of life and is the presence of love that binds us all. I think that something like that. Yeah. So I just wanted to just like thumbs up and underscore that as being such a more profound, expansive, real idea of what God is. And yeah, so thanks for sharing that. And I was also chuckling because in the commercial, we also saw you on the ad. You were at the Parliament of World Religions. Yeah, how was that? That's you. Can you tell us what it is? Because some people don't even know what that is.
Sure. So, just I want to say one quick thing to back up on the idea of God and this new version of God, which is now not new to me. It's, many years old, but it's so personal, right? It's this so intimate relationship because it is me. It's in me. It's bigger than me, but it's me as well. So it's not this separate thing that I pray to and beg to. It's within me. So that's just a little postscript I want to say about that. It makes it so much more real and alive for me. So the Parliament of the World's Religions. And I'm not a historian of this. This is my first time to go, but it has been in existence for over 100 years, and it meets all over the world. And it really is a gathering of all of religions. It's what it says. It's a parliament of the world's religions to gather to learn about each other, to understand each other, to find the commonalities among each other, to love each other, even in our differences. So it's just this amazing experience. And as I said, this was my first time. It was in Chicago this year. It was if I'm going to be 100% honest, which I always am, it was a little overwhelming because it's huge. I don't know how many thousands of people were there, and hundreds of different sessions you could go to. And so I just barely scratched the surface of sessions that I could attend. And I was representing Anton, the affiliated New Thought Network. I was representing Anton there. So we had a booth, a table. And so I was at that table a lot, not attending sessions, but at the table. But because of that, I got to talk to a lot of people that walked by, and see the beautiful clothing worn by different religions. And, it was an amazing experience, really heartfelt. And I'm so happy that New Thought Media Network that ad was a documentary that they're putting together on the Parliament. And I can't wait to see it. I was so happy to see a preview of it. So happy to see that. I haven't seen that yet. Made my heart sing.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. So I know for me, back in COVID 2020, so 3 years ago, our spiritual center, which we're more spiritual, non-religious here in Utah, we closed our doors because we had to, everyone did, and for a period of time, and we didn't open back up. We decided to put our energy and time into doing online things like this. So I sort of became a little detached from the churchy world or congregating, or I used to go to an ecumenical group here in my area in Utah, near Salt Lake, to meet with faith leaders of other religions and traditions, and that all stopped. So I really don't have a sense of that anymore. I'm out of that lane, and so I'm interested in knowing, is religion still alive and thriving? Because I feel like everything's changed for me. Even though I'm a more spiritual, non-religious, I have in my world created spiritual community based on spiritual principles and practices, but I really don't lean into the idea of religion in the kind of the modern sense of it. I like religion in the ancient sense of, yoking to the divine, but in the sort of, more, that was my doggy walking by saying hi. But more, religions, how they show up today, I'm just wondering, I kind of have a little bit of energy, not loving the way religions sort of argue and bicker and show up today and, try and, gain superiority, or we're the ones, that kind of energy. So can you talk a bit about what's going on in the world of religions? Are religions still thriving, and are they changing? Are the Jews experiencing turmoil within their kind of framework? Are the Catholics you know, are they struggling to find their way? Like, are other faith traditions experiencing what I'm experiencing in my own?
Well, that is a gigantic question, and I am not an expert on all religions, so I can't answer that. I can answer it a bit. So I think even before COVID, but COVID definitely had an impact. But even before COVID, religion, especially if you talk about church, like going to church or synagogue, that has been and continues to change. Um, Absolutely, that's has been changing even before COVID, and then after COVID, definitely, definitely has changed. But if you just look, and I was a minister of a church for 22 years, and looked at statistics from religions, Christian religions. That was really where the statistics were coming from, not from non-Christian religions, but from Christian religions. The attendance was down every year, down more, and there are pockets of the mega church and then this, but in general, the attendance at church going down. Of course, religions fighting amongst themselves, literally killing each other, or maybe if not that extreme, at least thinking they're the right way and you're the wrong way. That is ancient. That is ancient, sadly, very sadly. So that continues. So we see it around the world. That continues. But if we just want to look at today's world, people going to church, much fewer. Many churches in our New Thought world, that's my umbrella, and Allie's my umbrella. We're on New Thought Media Network. In the New Thought world, a lot of churches didn't make it through COVID. They didn't survive. I left my church before COVID. And I have to say that very selfishly, I'm really happy I didn't have to go through trying to run a church during COVID and seeing how to do that. I didn't do that. I left before. But like, I attend a church here, a local church, and I attended it before COVID. I attended after COVID, and their numbers have not even close to come back. So to answer your question, yes, I think religion, going to church, that's all changing very much. Where's it going to be in 10 years? I don't know.
So what was the vibe at the parliament? Because there you are with all these different people, and maybe you were busy and you didn't get a chance to like hear anything about this, but did you hear any people talking about this? I mean, when you say that it was huge, it was big, there were thousands of people, I'm like astonished, like, whoa, that.
Yeah,
really?
no, I didn't hear anyone talking about that their religion was diminishing. I didn't hear that. The other thing is, I think that this organization or this event was kind of preaching to the choir. These are people who are still connected, who believe in their religion, who live it. That's who came to the parliament. Those who were, moving away, they wouldn't come to this event.
Right. Okay, so I want to move on because I'm over the religious.
Okay, we're over that. Let's talk about something else.
What are you up to now? Because the name of the show is Growing Edge.
Yes.
And I love to hear what's on the growing edge. What is it that you're doing? How are you bringing your vision into time and space? And how I know that you've got such a heart of service. So how are you serving humanity right now?
Well, so many different ways, and I feel so blessed. I was blessed to be a minister of a church for 22 years, and for the last 5.5 years since I left that, I've created all sorts of different ways in which I get to serve people. One of them is one-on-one mentoring and coaching from a spiritual perspective, if that's what you want, from a more secular perspective, if that's what you want. But my business that I created is called Unleash Your Life. And so that's what I want to help people do, is just take the brakes off, whatever those brakes are that are keeping you from living fully alive and in joy and in happiness and creating what it is that you want to be, do, have, experience in this world. Gosh, I love doing that. So I one-on-one coach, but I teach classes, I do women's retreats. But the biggest thing I want to tell you about, because it's, I introduced it last year and it was so successful. We're going to do it again this year. It's called a program called Your Best Year Yet. And it's a year-long program, launching it again for 2024, where the people who are participating, we get together once a month, do a workshop on a topic that serves and supports them. We gather for a monthly coaching call. They get some one-on-one time with me. It's really about helping people achieve. So let me back up and just say that I'm very pragmatic. I'm kind of a goal-oriented person. I love that. And I know not everybody is. But I think all of us have desires, heart's desires, right? Whether it's a tangible, I want a new house, or I just want to have a deeper relationship with the divine, or I want to create a better relationship with my family, or I want the new job, or whatever. No judgment on what is it that we want. Because I think I love your name of your organization or your podcast here, is Growing Edge. So what's your growing edge? So this best year yet supports you in whatever your growing edge is. We do look at 9 areas of your life, key areas, and what in those areas do you want to be, do, have, experience for the year. And then you get this amazing support of each other in the program. We do accountability partners, and it's just really juicy, and I'm very excited about it. It's really a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I can feel it, and I don't know for sure, but I think I've met a few of your people. Just us hanging around together, and
yes,
being at Anton, at Unity Village, in October. I'm thinking
yes,
there could have been a few.
Yes, you did. Several of them, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what a blessing that is, organizing, a body of work to support women to wake up to themselves, and to have the best, to the best year yet, to be able to, help them in channeling their energy into that must be very rewarding. And I know for me, that's been something that's been, really alive for me since I first was doing practitioner training back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember painting a little, one of my little goddesses, or one of my little women. And I think you have her hanging there in your office on the wall.
She's right there. I'm looking at her over there. You can't see her because she's on that wall, but I look at her every single day and I love her.
Oh, yeah. So what kinds of things have you seen women, like, do you have maybe a story or an example that you could share with us of someone coming in to your field of awareness that's had struggles and challenges, and how they've grown and who they've become because of the work they've done with you?
Yes, I absolutely. Let me just think of one to pick.
because I think, and the point here is that when we hear stories about someone else's success, how they came from, this struggle and moved to this place of ease, that's inspiring. It gives us hope. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Well, could I use myself? Because that's what's coming up right now, big. So I do a lot of different modalities and a different work, but one, and Allie, you're familiar with the art of feminine presence. And I didn't create it. I wish I had. I didn't create it, but I became certified as a master teacher in it, and practice it and work with women, actually, and men. It works for men too. We just call it art of masculine presence. And it's about grounding. And I loved the 3-step process you had of grounding earlier. This is really about grounding in your belly, which is the seat of our genuine, authentic, and for us who resonate with feminine, our feminine power. And so I learned about this and got trained in this about 1.5 years before my husband died, got ill and died. And I was really learning how to anchor in that place within me. And I've always thought, frankly, that like the belly is where I connect with source. And so to learn that this is my anchoring point of my authentic, genuine power made so much sense to me. So there's some practices that you do, and I've taught this to hundreds, if not thousands of women, and have had a huge now I'm thinking of other stories I could tell you. We'll see if we have time. But I practice it myself. I never teach anybody something I don't test drive myself and then practice on an ongoing basis. So I'm anchoring in my power center. We call it womb space, actually, in my power center. And I've learned to just do that. Well, then Lonnie got ill, and we had about a month of knowing he was going to be leaving us. We didn't know exactly when, but it was a month. And he said to me at one point, and we knew it was getting close, he said, I am so glad that you found this work because it's going to help you so much after I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you are so right. And I believe that among other practices, my own connection with source, yes, but this practice of anchoring in my own space of power helped me get through one of the most difficult things, well, the most difficult thing I've ever done, and one of the most difficult things anyone can ever do, to lose the love of your life.
Yeah.
It helped me not fall apart. Did I grieve? Yes. Do I still grieve? Yes. Did I have moments? Yes. And all of that is part of the process, but it helped me stay anchored and grounded.
That's beautiful. What a gift.
Yeah.
And have, Lonnie's words and acknowledgement of how this will help. I mean,
Yes.
that's, there seems to be sort of this energy of consciousness that was there for the two of you as he was transitioning, that is such a blessing. I don't think many people have the opportunity to have such deep conversations and awareness, consciousness around the dying process.
Allie, yes, you are so right. And I would, if I don't say anything today on this time together that lands, please, everyone who's listening, to let this land. If you have a loved one who, or at some point, we're all gonna be doing this eventually, right? We're all leaving eventually. If you can have open, honest, genuine, real conversations. Lonnie even said once that he said to other people, he said, I didn't think Michele and I could get any closer. And this month that we have had has brought us even closer, because we talked about everything deep. And at one point I said to him, so honey, how am I going to know you need to come back and, let me know you're okay. This may sound a little woo-woo. He said, but you need to come back and let me know that you're okay. How are you going to do that? And he's like, I don't have any idea. And then he said, I've got it, because I'm a big shoe girl. I love good shoes, nice shoes, high heels. He said, I'm going to come back as a comfortable pair of sexy shoes. You got it. And you have no idea how many shoes I saw after he left, and so many other ways that he came back. And I'm actually going to pull out something here to show you. If you're interested in learning about that story, I wrote this sweet book. Whoops, let me get that in the right place here. From Our Hearts to Yours, Stories and Lessons on Conscious Loving, Conscious Dying, and Conscious Living. So this is about our journey and how we walked through our relationship. It's a relationship book. It's a book on how to walk through that conscious dying process. And it's about how I, anyway, did my thriving after. So Amazon.
So, so people can find your books. You've got a couple, right, on Amazon, and they can connect with you there on the screen. You can see unleashyourlife.us.
Yes.
So thank you for that. We could go in 100 million different ways. We could talk about the Enneagram. We could talk about all kinds of stuff. But I like to find out at the end of my time with my guest, what does the world need now? We've talked very specifically about, religion. We've talked about your work that you do with women. But as you sort of blow it out a bit to consider what's going on around this planet, because there's enormous chaos. There's such division. There's such divisiveness. And the one of the, not brand new, but the newer things that they say in New Thought these days is, beware of toxic positivity. So, we're sort of coming out with, we're more comfortable, it seems like, talking about things that aren't so positive, the shadow side of things, and bringing these things up to be healed. So I'm looking around at the planet and seeing there's a lot coming up to be healed. So with all of that in mind, just like the song says, the world
needs now.
Sweet love.
Yeah.
What, in your eyes, in your heart, in your view, what does the world need now?
Well, and when you asked me that question, that song did pop into my head. that tells our age, doesn't it, Allie?
Yeah.
You know what? I think, yes, it is love. That is what the world needs. And the opposite of love is what is happening, which is not hate. I don't believe the opposite of love is hate. I believe the opposite of love is fear. And I think every single conflict, whether it is between two friends or two nations, it is based on fear. We are afraid of losing power, of someone getting something from us, of whatever it is, it's fear. So if I can get out of my fear, if you can get out of your fear, and there's so many ways to do that. It's about being conscious. It's about being aware. It's about being connected to what's happening inside. I mean, this is what I teach people, to be aware and get out of the fear. If we were not living in fear, we would be living in peace.
So beautiful. Well, thank you, Michele. Thank you for being my guest today. I can't believe a whole hour whizzed by.
You know.
So I'm going to have you back in a few months, because we've got to talk about. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to New Thought Media Network. And next week we've got a special, very intimate, very vulnerable episode on Growing Edge Live. It's my story. And my good friend, Renee Laboa, is interviewing me, and we're going deep, and watch out. So see you next week. Peace and blessings. Lots of love to you where you are. Take care of yourself and love yourself. Bye-bye.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.